Okay, that should do it. We should be live. Sometimes, when the city gets hungry, she picks the weakest to consume. It keeps the herd healthy. When she picks her prey in front of you, can you look away? Can you look away?
It's raining outside. The storm has been going on for nearly 2 hours. Beat officers are sheltering under awnings alongside the hookers they would normally bust. A few men hunker around a street-side vendor who is serving coffee and hot dogs. Inside the car, it is quiet. It is dark. It is slow. Places have a character to them, a spirit all their own. Gotham, by nature, isn't slow. It is a bustling, rude, and headstrong place. It chews up the naive, punishes the kind. It rewards only the quick and the sly. Gotham wears injustice like a gown, and for some, a shroud. She's mercurial, Gotham, because despite her harshness, she is also tender to her sons and daughters. You see it in the sunny days in the parks, the crowded downtown markets, the sounds of a dozen different languages being spoken on the wharfs and in the Narrows. And screw Chicago and New York. Gotham has the best pizza, hot dogs, music, and sports teams. But I'm biased. New York double-crossed me and Chicago as a flirt. Everything happened so quickly. Not like Gotham at all. It has only been 3 months since the night when everything changed. It would be easy to claim that my actions were the result of a moral reflex, that I strode into the fray while under the lingering Victorian morality instilled in me during my youth, an ethic that has not perished for me as it has for the rest of the world since the armistice. I could lie to myself and claim that such heroism was the result of forces beyond my control, that the decisions were made for me by fate, chance, providence, whatever it is other men use to justify their abrogation of responsibility. But though at times I feel conflicted, I lack the capacity for self-delusion. Pennyworth saw to that, and I am eternally grateful to him for it. Any other Gothamite would have pretended not to hear nor witness the beating of an innocent man by a gang. They would have succumbed to cowardice, because it's rational to fear being hurt. They would have thought of dependents that rely upon them. They would have thought of the person waiting for them in their rooms, the one that makes it a home. But no one has ever been dependent on me. My reaction to fear has never been the normal one, and no one has ever made me feel at home. No one except for her. Gotham. And like a skirt you know is always going to be trouble, you keep stepping out with her, because you believe you can help her be better. You can't help it. You have a type. Gotham. She was there that night. BMRC 110, April 7th, 1927. Gotham. The Belfry sits in that nebulous territory between downtown and the Narrows. Here, hectic Gothamites duck in for a quick bite and a cup of joe. The Belfry is open 24 hours a day, with one of the Hsu family always present, managing the diner. The morning clientele consists of workers that wish they could linger, housewives who are taking a day to themselves, and the odd Gotham University student who has awakened with a thrumming hangover. The midday groups consist of businessmen seeking to slum it, or cops avoiding their fellow off-duty police officers. The evening patrons consist of young men and women meeting for a date, or the husbands who stare into the black emptiness of their coffee cups, wondering where it was that they went wrong. But the overnight shift is when the Belfry shines. The overnight patrons are the local color. They pass along the stories of the city that don't make print. Narcotics are traded, discreetly, within handshakes. Bikers stalk in to claim the bar. Rash couplings are consummated in the bathrooms, and there is always some aspiring musician strumming a guitar. Poets, writers, and Gotham U students cramming for tests occupy the corner booths as their own private domains. No alcohol is served in the Belfry, just coffee that is strong enough to stave off sleep and rekindle hope. In the east corner, 6 college students crowd around a table. The gathering is composed of 4 men and 2 women. The other patrons occasionally look up, annoyed at the gathering's joviality. A few of the patrons shrug, knowing that such mirth never lasts long in Gotham. Robert Daniels, tall, fit, and the quarterback for Gotham U's football team, reclines in the booth with his right arm around the shoulders of Emily Partone. His other arm is draped across the shoulders of Hetty Halsing. Rumors that the two girls are cooperating, rather than competing, for his affection abound. Across from Daniels sits Edmund Post, the team's wide-shouldered center. To his left is Jackson Ryan, the running back. Sitting in the seat open to the room and to Post's right is a wide receiver with professional prospects. Daniels begins, "I swear, I don't know what we're going to do when you graduate, Wayne. What does a finance major do, anyway?" Wayne smiles in his characteristic cavalier manner and replies, "Mostly they figure out how to get other people to use their money the way the financier profits from." "That sounds dreadfully boring," asserts Hetty. "Banking hardly matches watching you upon the field. Or upon the list." "You just like seeing him run," Emily teases Hetty. "Nonsense. Gotham U prefers to see him run. I prefer seeing him compete in more manly arts, such as when he wrestles or boxes." Daniels, feigning jealousy, says, "Ladies, am I at risk at losing you to Bruce's charms?" "Of course not, darling," Hetty soothes him, but then adds playfully, "His bank account, however—" The gathering laughs at her jest, yet Wayne has to inwardly hide his reaction. He tells himself, there's a downside to being rich. You can never trust a woman to actually love you for your character. Well, almost never. Outwardly, he remains pleasant and unfazed. It is a talent that he has learned from long years of meeting high society's expectations. He reaches for the carafe that was left on their table. While pouring himself a fresh cup, the carafe is depleted, leaving him with a half-full coffee mug and an excuse to depart the table. "I need some more, Joe. Be back in a bit," Wayne tells his companions. "Better bring some water, too," says Jackson. "Yep." Wayne rises and walks to the breakfast bar counter of the Belfry. The patrons barely notice him. He passes the small stage where Henry Van Gogh is trying to convince the uncaring audience to listen. It's a lively, delta kind of sound, and Bruce likes it. He nods to Henry as he passes, and the guitarist nods in response. "I was never that good at the strings. Probably because my parents made me play piano. God, I hated piano," he recognizes. The thought, however, turns Bruce's thinking back to the past, to lessons in the ballroom of the New York house. It was 5 times as large as the house he resided in here at Gotham, but it came with terribly high expectations. New York was a cutthroat scene. The industrial capos there constantly competed with one another for prestige as well as lucre. His parents, ever overbearing, always had some new gala for him to attend or task for him to complete. Here, in Gotham, Bruce felt strangely free, despite the rigors of his schooling and athletic activities. Here there was no parent over his shoulder constantly telling him how he was failing to measure up, nor any gossip columnist following his every move. In Gotham, one could disappear if one wished, even someone as rich as a Wayne. Athletic prowess is notable, but short-lived. An article in the paper or upon the radio might mention his name, but many people had no idea that the black-haired and blue-eyed young man was the Bruce Wayne when they met him. Gotham simply didn't have the same social scene as New York. Wayne paused by the counter. Mr. Hsu, who was about his father's age, was taking orders. His eldest daughter was on kitchen duty, her face occasionally being seen as she took down order tickets from the window. In perfect Cantonese, Wayne asked, "Mr. Hsu, could I please get some more coffee and water?" Hsu responded in the same language. "Of course. It's always so pleasant to see you, Mr. Wayne." "Bruce, please." "We've had this discussion before, Mr. Wayne." "We have, and I still insist." Hsu paused. "Why? Your family is nothing to be ashamed of." "No, it's not that. I don't feel like a mister. Not yet." Hsu let out a short laugh. "What?" "Mr. Wayne, we can only be what we are. Trying to be something else just wastes time and brings heartache." Bruce didn't know quite how to respond, so he just nodded. Then he stood, somewhat out of place, at the counter and waited. Wayne scanned the room, looking over the customers. He spotted 2 men who had come off shifts at the harbor, their clothing slightly grimy and their hands cracked. At another table, a couple sat across from one another, their silence and refusal to look at each other hinting at a looming breakup. Sitting at the end of the breakfast bar, an older woman, wearing clothes that did not flatter her age, was staring at her meal. Bruce took out 3 quarters and stealthily placed them next to her on the counter. His charity went unnoticed by everyone, except Hsu, who was looking directly at him. Hsu fetched a full carafe of coffee and another of water. He placed them on the counter. Wayne took the pitchers and was about to leave when Hsu said, "She comes in later, in the evening. Almost in the morning. If you're looking for her." Wayne stiffened. Slightly he asked himself, "Am I that obvious?" No. He knows because he watched it begin, progress, and end. "I'm not," Wayne said aloud. "Sure." He walked back to the group of college students, passing the couple, who weren't talking to each other, along the way. He noticed that the woman was not only attractive, but had a heavy purse. He doubted it was money in the small bag. A revolver. Definitely a Gotham girl, Wayne noted. He sat back down just as Jackson had told a joke. The group was laughing at the jest, and Bruce smiled. It was good to smile. It put people at ease. "Bruce, when are you going to have us over at your place? I mean, what is the point of having a mansion if you don't let others bask in its glory?" Hetty asked. Bruce hid his answer behind drinking his coffee. "You know Bruce likes his privacy," Daniel said. Yes, the virtue of solace, but there is something to be said for ribald hedonistic revelry. Come, Bruce, do say that you'll invite us in," Emily begged. "Stop pestering the man. Everyone knows that Wayne likes to affect the air of the unattainable bachelor," Edmund joked. "Shame. Someone needs to capture him," Hetty teased. "Well, I'm wily prey," Wayne jested. "Like a fox," Emily agreed. A touch of regret there, Bruce wondered. She certainly seemed peeved that he hadn't been claimed by a young woman. "Oh, maybe we'd have a fox hunt," Edmund suggested. "Oh, yes, please. We could rally all the most eligible ladies from Gotham U to chase him across the pitch," Hetty joked. Bruce, still smiling slyly, replied, "If I'm the fox in this hunt, wouldn't that make the ladies the dogs?" The men howled at the jest. The ladies present did not. In fact, they were a little cold to Bruce the rest of the night. He did not mind. He listened to his companions talk about their dreams and aspirations. While it was the latter part of winter, the end that summer would bring them wasn't far away. After graduation, they would all have to join the wider world and leave behind the insular world of the college campus. Gotham U, like all major universities, was its own little world, even if it lacked as many ivory towers as Harvard or Yale. Wayne listened as Hetty spoke about traveling Europe. In her vision, she was paraded down the Avenue des Champs-Élysées in the finest haute couture wardrobe. Daniels was with her, of course. "I do need someone to carry the purchases," she quipped. Edmund spoke about going into his residency at Gotham Memorial Hospital. His interest was in pediatrics. He finished describing his dream of success as, "I'll finish residency, and then I'll see if I can't get some backers to open clinics and improve orphanages for Gotham." He gave Wayne a little look when he finished. Bruce thought, just my friend for the money. I hadn't suspected that from him from our time together in football. Well, I don't object to his aims. I'll think about it. Daniels spoke about taking up a position in his father's shipping company. He envisioned that in addition to bulk delivery, he could open up Gotham to more luxury goods. "I'm sick of those snobs from New York claiming that we are their little sister. I want to bring wineries, restaurants, theaters, and opera houses back to the city, refurbish the Olympia, and the opening night serenade us with Rosa Poncel's heavenly voice." "Definitely a long way from the pitch," Bruce commented. Sadly, I can't be a quarterback forever," Daniels replied. Sadness there. Maybe even dread. He's afraid of not being enough when he leaves college, Bruce observed. "What about you, Bruce? Are you really going to do nothing but move money and persuade others to let you make them richer?" Hetty asked him. Emily began. "I, too, must confess I find it hard to believe that someone with 2 majors, 1 major, 3 minors," Bruce interjected, "someone so academically accomplished and athletically skilled would be content behind a desk. No political ambitions?" "Looking to trade up, Emily?" Bruce asked himself. Aloud he said, "No, not politics. In order to make any progress in politics, you have to be bribable, and I'm clearly not. No, I think I will write a book or 2. "Bruce Wayne, the great American novelist?" asked Daniels. "Why not?" "Well, it's not like with his money he needs to succeed," Edmund joked. The group chuckled. Bruce chuckled along. It was good to blend into the group. Then they would reveal what they were thinking. "What about marriage?" Hetty asked. Bruce made a comedic show of pouring a new cup of coffee and pretending he hadn't heard. Bruce, Emily prompted. He feigned unattended deafness. Bruce Wayne, do not tell me you are leading poor Anna on, Emily demanded. I am not, Bruce replied. Emily's rising ire diminished. I have made it quite clear that we are just going out together. It's nothing serious. Emily's ire surged once again, then receded. She thinks otherwise. Bruce whispered, Oh, I didn't know. Of course you didn't, Emily spat. Hetty came to his rescue. Bruce, is there anyone you've ever dated that has caused you to want more? We've all seen how you court ladies. You're polite and the epitome of a gentleman, but it never seems to work out. A month, maybe two, and the pair of you are amicably broken up. We just want you to be happy. So who is it you are looking for? And at that very moment, she walked in. It had been nearly 4 years since he had seen her. She had grown even more alluring. By habit, he examined her from top to bottom. Her long, curly hair was loose, a subtle refutation of the pixie cuts and bobs of the time. She wore a pair of small hoop earrings and only a touch of rouge. Her dark gray skirt and matching coat, with a white blouse, gave her a professional appearance. Dark stocking and black heels completed the outfit. Her purse was slung behind her, and Wayne spotted the hint of a sidearm under the coat. Selina, he thought. He quickly turned his face so that she wouldn't see it. He set his arm on the table and rested his head upon his palm, feigning exhaustion. He slowed his breathing, forcing himself to repeat the lessons that Guru Patwa had taught him. But his body didn't care what Pranayana said was supposed to happen, and his heart rate increased. Oh, I don't know. Someone steady, reliable, nice. The usual, Bruce lied. You just described every eligible woman in Gotham, Hetty petulantly remarked. Yes, that does seem to be the problem. I'm sure I'll settle down eventually. Men always do, Bruce lied again. The group dropped the subject, accepting the deception. He had always been good at such polite deceptions. They chatted pleasantly a while longer, with Bruce feigning an ever-increasing amount of exhaustion. Then, with a start, he sat up. Oh, it's getting late, Bruce said. I think I'll call it a night. No, stay, Emily pleaded. Come on, Wayne. We still have to go to the Lunarium to visit. Daniels prompted. Some other night, guys. I feel knackered. With her complaints, he rose, shook hands, and then discreetly went out the back door of the belfry. He spared a glance towards Selina to see if she had seen him. She had not. She was chatting up a man at the breakfast bar, and it wasn't difficult to determine why she was doing so. A possessiveness tried to rise up in Wayne, but he shoved it aside. Selina made it quite clear that she doesn't belong to anyone, and that she needs no one to aid her, he thought. Then he closed the door and stepped out into the back alley to recover his composure. The alley behind the belfry was as much of a scene as the inside. It was a place for people to step out and have a quiet word or two before going somewhere else. One couple, hearing Bruce enter the alley, ended their conversation hurriedly and smoothed their clothing. Wayne watched them depart and knelt with his back against the wall. The alley was very dark, with only a single light strung between the building that the belfry was in and the building across the alley to illuminate it. The result was that of a flickering shadows and dark gloom past 30 feet. Bruce placed his head in his hands, lost in memories of this same alley and similar conversations with Selina. His regrets were interrupted by the door opening again, and Mr. Hsu. The restaurateur had a sack of garbage in hand. When he saw Bruce, he gave the young man a sympathetic look. You could have told me she was even more beautiful, Wayne whispered. It seemed unfair. Yeah, love always is, isn't it? Hsu didn't reply. He took the trash over to the bin and opened the lid. Several things happened at once. The bin lid exploded upward and a figure rose from within. The attacker threw a quick and hard punch across Mr. Hsu's face. A second figure, almost at the same time, emerged from the bin. In its hands there was a billy club. The heavy stick came down hard on Hsu's skull. Out of the darkness from further down the alley, two more figures appeared. They began viciously kicking the fallen Hsu. It was about this time that Wayne, recovering his senses, rose from his remorse. One of the attackers made eye contact with Wayne. As his mind always did, it began examining and cataloging everything Bruce sensed in great detail. Green eyes. Has a swarthy, but not Asian skin tone. roughly 5 foot 10 inches tall and 170 pounds, average fitness, and has some skill in fisticuffs, wearing nondescript clothing and a mask. "Get out of here," the attacker commanded Wayne. Bruce shook his head. He shrugged his shoulders, and his jacket fell to the ground, freeing his arms. His hands rose and became fists. "You don't want any of this, Guai Lao," the attacker yelled. "It's pronounced Guai Lo," Bruce hissed. The attacker's expression registered shock that his deception was ruined. "Just look away," the attacker yelled in obviously rehearsed Cantonese. "Never," Bruce told himself. He stepped into range and ducked as the fast hook from his opponent tried to impact his chin. As Bruce rose, he let his uppercut impact his foe's chin. The attacker shook, stunned by the blow, and unable to defend himself, had no defense for Wayne's vicious counterpunch. Bruce's hook impacted him just behind the jawbone and shifted the bone out of its socket. Screaming in pain, the attacker hit the ground, holding his face. The 3 remaining attackers looked up from where they were still beating Hisu. "Get him," the leader with the billy club told the other 2 men. The pair of attackers advanced, wary from Wayne's demonstration of pugilistic skill. The first one came in behind a jab. Wayne noted. Decent footwork, fast jab. Roughly 5'11" and 180 pounds. The other is an inch taller. Both are more skilled than the one I just decked. Same clothing, paler skin, dark eyes. Locals? Maybe. He patted aside the jab and fired a cross of his own. His attacker weaved and came to Wayne's side, trying to herd him towards his ally. But Bruce didn't fall for it. Then the second man attempted a jab, cross, and hook combo, but Wayne ducked and sidestepped him, keeping both attackers close to each other. Wayne decided to change the game. As his attacker stepped in, he quickly jabbed out with his fingers and caught the lead attacker in the eye. The man screamed in understandable pain, but Wayne wasn't done. He thrust out with a strong sidekick, pushing the lead attacker into the one behind him. Both men went down in a heap. A quick glance showed him that the first man he had downed was now getting up. His hand flicked and something shiny glimmered in the light of the streetlight. The man sliced at Bruce. Good with his fists. Less so with the blade, thought Wayne. He let his first slice pass by, and when the attacker tried to naturally swing the knife at him again, backhanded, Wayne shot in and grabbed the man near the wrist and smashed his own free forearm behind the man's elbow. The hyperextension caused an audible pop, and the man dropped his knife. But Wayne wasn't done. With a quick hip throw, he put the man down on the pavement. "Police!" Bruce shouted. The attackers paused. They hadn't expected resistance, and were even more shocked at how effective Wayne's defense was. The leader gave Hisu one last whack with the club, and then blew a whistle. Bruce's eyes narrowed. He thought, billy club? Whistle? Personality of command? A police officer? A car came to a stop at the open end of the alley. The 3 beaten attackers withdrew to it. They clambered into the vehicle. One of them yelled, "Drive! Drive, goddammit!" Harbor accent. Definitely local. So frightened he forgot to keep the act of being Chinese, Wayne noted. He hadn't ceased to watch the remaining man, who was withdrawing into the shadows. Wayne strode towards him. The man produced a revolver from his coat pocket, but did not point it at Wayne. Instead, he let it hover over the body of the abused Sioux. Wayne stopped. I am too far away to rush him before he pulls that trigger. In fluent Cantonese, with no trace of an accent, the man said to Hisu, "Pay the tigers, or the next time it will be your daughter we visit." The remaining masked attacker began retreating slowly, keeping his gun trained at Hisu. Wayne watched, simmering in helpless anger. Yet the situation seemed diffused. The attackers had withdrawn, and the remaining ones seemed content in delivering the beating. "What the hell?" a man asked from the door. The response of the attacker was instinctive. He fired one round at the door, and then trained his pistol upon Wayne. Bruce dove behind the bin as 2 rounds meant for him impacted it. He glanced back at the door and saw that Daniels was slumped against it. Red blood leaked from his arm. He was conscious and trying not to scream. Bruce tried to cross the distance of the alley, but before he could rise, another round impacted the bin. "Is that the best you can do?" Bruce taunted aloud. Inwardly, he thought, if I can get him to fire the last round, I can rush him. The last gunshot ricocheted above Wayne's head. "Now," he thought as he rose from behind his cover. Only to see the attacker had dropped the revolver and produced another. "Damn," Wayne whispered. There was a gunshot, but to Wayne's side. The gunman's arm faltered, and he fired a round accidentally into the street. He vanished behind a corner alley as a second shot chased him. Bruce glanced back to the door into the belfry. She stood there, sighting down along the barrel of a Luger, towards where the last attacker had vanished. Her arms were steady and her stance perfect. The edge of the door frame sheltered her, and her expression was devoid of any emotion. Every inch of her was carved of the hardness of Gotham, and yet the feminine curves of her body promised that she wouldn't hurt you. At least not much, and you might even like it. He realized he was staring. Wayne placed aside his admiration and wondered. That is the result of professional training. Selina, when I saw you picking that man's pocket at the bar, I thought you hadn't moved out of the life. But you've never been keen on firearms before. What have you been doing while we were apart? He didn't have time to ponder it further. He turned his back to the door, trusting Selina to defend them, and examined Jesus's wounds. Broken arm, probably a broken rib. Concussion is likely. Swelling indicates they didn't crack his skull, but with his older age as a complicating factor, this could prove fatal. He needs a hospital, Bruce told himself. In Cantonese, he called out, Wing Tung, call for an ambulance. A shot rang out behind him. Selina had fired again. He heard a round strike the wall near her. Wayne knew he shouldn't move Sue, but he had little other choice. He dragged the wounded man behind the bin and waited. Bruce, are you hit? Daniels asked. No, are you? Yes, there's a lot of blood and it burns like nothing I've ever felt before. He got me in the arm. Tie it off with a tourniquet, Wayne told his quarterback. How? I've only got one bloody arm, Daniels asked. I can do it. It was Emily. She and Hetty had run to the door when they heard the shouting. Now she knelt by the fallen collegiate and took off his belt. As she was cinching the arm above the wound, Wing Tun arrived. Seeing her father's recumbent form, she screamed and tried to enter the alley. Stay back, Selina told her. Daddy! Selina struggled with the woman for a moment. She told Wing Tun, Stop it, you won't do him any good if you get shot. But Wing Tun didn't heed her. She tried to get past Selina again. Frustrated that she couldn't get past her, Wing Tun grabbed the woman's hair and tried to yank her out of the doorway. Move, you whore! Wing Tun yelled in English. Then she crumpled, holding her nose. Selina resumed watching the alley for threats. Her quick blow with the pistol butt to the girl's nose earned her a glare of disapproval from Emily. Why are there no whistles? Hetty shouted. Wrong part of town, Selina told her. Where's the ambulance? I don't hear a bell, Hetty panicked. Again, wrong part of town. They waited for another long 10 minutes. Daniels began to whimper from the pain, but Emily proved to be made of sterner stuff than Wayne had first judged her. Edmund, though not present at the attack, had made himself useful by running to a payphone. Thanks to his quick action and his telling the operator that it was a white man who was shot instead of a Chinese man, the ambulance and the beat officers arrived within 20 minutes. Once the sirens could be heard nearing, Selina pocketed her Luger and tried to quickly leave the scene. Where are you going? Emily dared her. Away, obviously. You have to stay, Emily demanded. Let her go, Bruce said aloud. Kyle turned. She saw Bruce clearly for the first time. He was still kneeling by the wounded Jesus, alongside Wing Tun. She didn't realize in the middle of the firefight who it was she was helping. She just responded. There is some decency within her still, Wayne thought. Their gazes met and Selina seemed shaken. Then her expression changed. Of course. Slumming it again? Here for a bit of an adventure with your indolent friends? Well, now you have a new story to tell all the other polo players. It's not like that. Oh, and you were just loitering about, hoping to bump into me then? Old fights mingled with the present one. Wayne hissed. No, you made it quite clear you didn't want me around. Damn right, she exclaimed. Then she walked away, her heels clicking rapidly on the pavement. What was that about? Emily asked Bruce. Nothing. It didn't look or sound like nothing, Daniels added. Regardless, it was nothing. But out of the corner of his eye, Wayne watched her go.